Well, shalom, shalom, shalom. You had to shout out.
Shalom,
Hallelujah.
shalom.
Yeah. We made it. We made it. Praise and honor to the Father. Praise and honor to Him. And before we even get anything, we know that our brother, he had went to the hospital. So hopefully we'll get a report back here soon. I'm sure when they will find something out. So just want you to know that if Christina has an opportunity to maybe come in with us, and I know that she's with him, but our hearts and our prayers are with you as well in that. So may the Father continue to strengthen you, and y'all get the answers that you would need while you're there. We just praise him and honor him for that. Uh, each of us, even my wife, she's in a place of recovery. So those that's in a place of recovery that may be joining us or may look at this later, may the Father continue to strengthen you in the process. I want you to know that sometimes we have to go through the process. So there is a process, right? And whatever we would do. And in our bodies, one thing about these old tents, they will fade away. But there will come a time, there will come a time that it'll be no more. So we just honoring him and thanking him, and all of you that may see this. And I just want you, this is just a part of the power up is to find you and a place that you can get the build up that we need to continue those things. You know, we want to be in a place where we can continue to uplift one another, build one another up. And that's really, really what this is about. We're going to be going through Proverbs. We've been going through that all this month. In the Glorian calendar, we usually do a chapter a day, listen to it, or read it. And we didn't have challenges. I think I said it last week in the past, different things. But the focus is the Proverbs, that wisdom that's in there. And it's great wisdom. You know, it's great wisdom. And it's like I'm so grateful that we do have it. I really am. And it puts us in a place. thinking about things. It puts us in a place to check our own desires, because we want to know what those desires would be. Are they my own desires, or do my desires become his desires? And then if they do, then they go into a good place, a good place in that. But as we could see, even in our title, that are you in love with your own desires? Now, we are kind of, I guess, I kind of hit on that in these first two verses is what really brought that out in my heart as well, to entitle that the place of a focus in that. And I'm sure, of course, we have time wise, and I'm sure that we'll get through some more of the scriptures as well, but that'll be, I'll start out in the focus of that to get us in a place to where we can be, uh, ex- to be examining ourselves. So that's where we are at, examine ourselves and one another. And so as we go through these scriptures at this point, is what we are saying, that these scriptures may be speaking to us in that. And you may have something. We're not telling you to throw what you have away, but consider what we may endeavor to engage in on tonight. Just consider those things. That's all in that. And you may have something much deeper and something much more. And so hopefully that it will be a point of somewhere in here that you can say, oh, I really didn't look at it in that manner. And so that's would be one of the goals and one of the joys that we would have. And then, it'd be great if we could always get into it and even share those things, right? And we always gather together, and we come together on the Shabbat, on Sabbath, and we come together at 10 a.m. So that's a good place to, if you desire to be a part of a family, of a community, because we know that that's what Torah is built in that. So you can always come and fellowship and just see if that is a place for you, and that may not be, but if it is, you would desire to connect and to be with someone. So if it's not us, then it needs to be someone, though. It does need to be someone. And I know some of you are maybe looking at this across the country, or wherever the place that you may be, and to find you a good family, a good, we call it tribe, a good clan, and all of those things that are putting together, have a desire to do that. And it's going to be, I always think about how great that is, how great that is, and the love and the growth and the coming together and the ideas and the building. It makes life great. It makes life great. So a lot of people have a desires in different things, and but I tell you, there's nothing like the family. Nothing like the family in that. We are going to start in Proverbs chapter 18. And what we do, the day is the 18th. So it's sort of simple where we are at. And tomorrow will be the 19th. And if you want to get on board, and we'll all be together and at least have something in common, our thought process as we walk through these proverbs in our hearts. So we want to do those things in that. And the shout out to everyone. All right. I see also Christina. Okay, we'll get a report. Hallelujah. That's in here, and that's good. That's always good to know that that's what family's about. She even has in her own unit, and yet she stopped in to say hi, and that's a good thing. I don't know. Um, I was seeing on that part there. I had a thought, but we'll we'll wait on that one in that. So, all right, family, and those of you that are in the room, and we may have you to plug a verse in that we might get into, but when that time comes, I would let you know, because I definitely want to get through this particular these couple of verses here, and then there's some more in there. I'm sure that we all could jump in on. All right, verse 1, the separatist seeks his own desires. And that's where I was coming from, is are you in love with your own desire, right? He breaks out against all sound doctrine. So other words, and the reason this touched my heart is it was a point in my life, earlier in my life, that you always had what you think, and you just didn't want to listen to anyone else. And so sometimes we get in our hearts, we realize that we need some sound, and that's always a good word, sound wisdom. You can have wisdom, but is it sound? You can have judgment, but is it sound judgment? So you can have these things, but is it sound? Other words, is it concrete in those things? Do we have the necessary things that we need? So being a part of a community, being a part, and I think I said that before, that is sound. That is sound. But some people, when they seek their own desires, especially when it comes to maybe looking at our scriptures, when talking to anyone, it is really, really hard for them to break away. And one of the things is sometimes the techniques of listening, if you allow me to say that, is we ought to take out time to listen. And there was a time I wouldn't listen. I was already thinking about what I'm going to say. You will be talking, right? And I start thinking about what I'm going to say. I didn't hear what you said, but I already, okay, you said something. I caught on to what you said, and then I begin to look at it, right? So in that, I didn't really listen to what you said, because I had my own desires. And right now we're talking about the scriptures, and then you can plug that in any situation in your life and in your walk. But I had a desire, and that desire, I had what I want. I had to get my point. I had a desire that I wanted to go. So soon as you finish, and sometimes according what area I was in, or if we was in a study, before you even finished, I would raise my hand up and all of that. But I had to know, and even in our scriptures, it may be in this one today, when these sometimes in Proverbs, they start running together, right? They start running together. But before you hear a matter, it might have been last time or the time somewhere in there. Wait before you hear the whole matter before we can answer something. And that's the thing about setting me free. And I was in the military, and the young man told me, he said, you're talking before you're not really thinking before you say something. That's what he said. And I didn't like it at first, but it made me think about that. Do I really want to listen to others, or do I want you to listen to me? Right? You need to listen to what I'm saying, because they all look. We seek our own sometimes, and so we have to be honest with ourselves. We seek our own. So before you even finish, I raise my hand. I don't know what you were finished with, right? But if I listen and listen to try to, and sometimes it turns around, because I know even in power ups or whatever, this is a place to build you up. But I know sometimes you could get stuck on maybe what is said, or that didn't say that, or da 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 da, and before you know it, we miss the meat of what's in that, right? The meat was in that. So sometimes if we would listen in the fact of receiving, it's good for us to be receivers, right? Just listen to be receivers sometimes. And we always don't have to speak, but we can always listen to what's going on in that. And so sometimes I don't want to listen, because I have a desire, and that desire is my own. I seek my own, right? I don't want to listen to nobody else. But we need sound wisdom, right? We need sound wisdom because somebody could be speaking, and then I want to be able to listen, and then I realize, oh, okay, I see that now. Because most times, not all the time, and this is not a universal thing, but sometimes in my own life, there's I would call it, and I'm putting in this demonstration of a puzzle. Sometimes if it's 10 pieces of that puzzle, I have 10 pieces of puzzle. But sometimes I can get up to 8 pieces there, and I'm missing two. There's two I don't know where they go. And sometimes that 2 pieces of that puzzle, someone else has it in their life that they share with me. And I said, oh, okay, listen, I got 8 pieces. All I needed was the two to put it together. But the 2 pieces are important. You understand? And so if I don't just stand on my own 8 and receive your 2 pieces to make the puzzle complete, because it's a 10 piece puzzle to make that puzzle complete. And then I say, oh, okay, I got it. I got it now. And but if I accept that wisdom that you give me, then I could put with the 8 pieces that I already have. Nobody telling you to throw your pieces away. Maybe this is something good that you need to add to your pieces. And when it becomes, we were talking earlier, when it comes to the word of Yah, it is living. Listen, the word is living. You will never reach the heights of the things, the deeps and the depths of his word, right? You'll forever be, you'll ever be learning, but never coming into the knowledge, right? And the scripture say the knowledge of the truth, right? You'll find the truth of things. But what I'm trying to go with this is you can go deep and deep and deep and deep and deep and deep. It can go on, right? It can go on. But we want to be a people that receive in order to walk out, to live, right, in this present day. And so that's what we want to do. We want to know and to understand that, right? And then we don't want to be contentious in what we're doing, right? Sometimes you can't do that, but we want the sound judgment. We want sound judgment in whatever we do. So going back, I took a little sidetrack, but going back to be able to understand and listen to others will do you good, right? It'll do you good, and sometimes it'll do that. Now, sometimes when you listening, right? This is another thing. When you listening, don't never forget. Sometimes I tell them, and I read this, so that is in this sense of original thought, it was not, but I don't have to be wrong in order for you to be right. That stuck with me, right? That stuck with me because I think that's what part of sometimes in this humanity or being human, if you want to say in that sense, just being who we are. Sometimes it's the wrong and right, the right, you wrong, I'm right, you wrong, you right, you wrong, you're right, and we fight that issue. It'll never be settled. I'm gonna let you know, men have been fighting, men and women, I'm saying mankind, they've been fighting and going back, and that's just part of it. That's just part of life. For centuries, wars has broke out. So we're not going to solve that here, right? We're not going to solve that. But we can get to a place where I am able and capable of listening. And so if I can get to that place of able and capable of listening to you, I mean really listening and thinking those things through, right? And then we can dialogue. We can go back and forth and get the understanding. We going back and forth to get an understanding with one another. And so that's what's important to us is we go and get that understanding in that. And that we would show that. And it says in verse 2, a fool does not delight in understanding, right? So once you get that other 2 pieces of that puzzle, we ought to be able to delight in it, you know. But we can't be foolish. When you're foolish, you don't delight in understanding, but he covers up his own heart. And so I kind of put those two thought processes together, verse 1 and 2. We have the verses. I put those two together because you cover up. You won't let nobody else, right, give you another understanding. And maybe you don't see it now. Even in the assembly, when we go over our scriptures, when we all together every year, there's a new, I like to say, a new bright arising, a new light that's turned on it, that we did not see before. But if I was a fool and I just cover up my own heart, it doesn't matter what you say. I got my 8 pieces, right? But sometimes we need those 2 more pieces in order to go and do what we need to do. I got my 8, right? So sometimes we cover up our own heart, and you don't delight in the understanding. We should get excited when our understanding, right? But when we think about, here's another one that came to my mind is the understanding that's still going. So if I say I understand this, I understand this to this point, you know. If I say I understand, I'm trying to get example. I understand this bottle. I understand this bottle to a point. So you say, well, how did you make it? I say, I don't know. You know, I said, this is paper. This is printed paper. So there's something I have an understanding of what this is. This is a bottle of water is what this is, right? I have the understanding of a bottle of water. Now I may not know the depths. I may not know, they got this is Italian stuff, but I may not know how they made it, what the process was, how they, how all of those things do. But I have an understanding though. So sometimes with the word, when we say understanding and we got wisdom, we say, okay, I understand that. That doesn't mean that's the all in all. Matter of fact, I know it doesn't mean that, right? In that sense, your other words, your understanding is not like at a stopping point. Your understanding goes on and on and on. You understand up to this point, right? So that's the reason we should delight. I should get excited about, oh, this is a bottle of water. So that's my understanding. That's my delight. Because my delight is there. But once I realized and said, okay, how they make the printed paper, how they printed this on, they put a glue strip there where the paper wouldn't come off. I'm getting even a more understanding, and my delight is there, right? My delight is there. So sometimes when we even read the scriptures, looking at that. And so sometimes you could probably pull something else of a delight of an understanding in that. You could probably, get something else in that, but that's something that we desire to do, right? In that. So when that's an expression that we have, right? That's an expression that we have. And we have to know and understand that. Matter of fact, I have it going kind of strolling at the bottom there, but it's always good to have that because I wanted to put in your heart. Hopefully, that stroll is not a abstraction at this point. So we wanted to let me do it this way. Uh, Matter of fact, I could take that off, and we could do it like this. That way, you could see where I'm at here as well. We had verse 1, and then we talked about verse 2. In that, let me see if I had. And that's another thing. Before I move on, look, he detests, a person with a fool does not delight. Now it's just like you don't even like understanding. You don't want that's the reason you don't want to listen because you don't have a delight in that. You don't want to understand it. Because most times the way that this thing is working, someone else has it there. When people work together, that's when you have what we call teams. We call them teams now. But when people work together, is how you get an understanding, right? When you work together, you get an understanding. If you work separate, you won't get that understanding. You will have your own understanding. But some people are so delighted in what they already have, they can't receive nothing. Because why? Because they love, right? They love their own desire. This is my desire. I'm gonna keep it. I don't care what you say, they say, or we say. I'm gonna keep it, right? That's my desire, and that's what they do. That's their desire in that. And so, I want you to know that that's there. And what I'm trying to do here is to discover. I was looking up just a little bit in the Hebrew in this, and it's talking about to unveil or to cover, right? To uncover, should I say? The fool. Let me go back to this. But is uncovering his own heart. But in uncovering his own heart. I wanted to go right round, and I'm gonna let my brother. I know he's been riding with us patiently in that. And it says the word, verse 4, is what I wanted to get to. The words of a man's mouth are deep waters, and the fountain of wisdom is flows a stream. Listen, deep waters, and that's part of what I was saying was it. That is good. That is real good. Let me see here. I had a couple of things that I had looked up on that, and then we're gonna let my brother dive in here. It said it's a deep water. It's something that supplies, and then when it says the word of a man's mouth, right? Because that's why I was saying to getting that understanding of you can once you get your understanding, the waters are deep is what I'm getting here, right? Now that's what I'm pulling from this as well. The waters are deep in that. And so it's just like oh man, the fountains right here, it says the fountains of wisdom. That's life, right? That just flows. Wisdom is very important. Listen, wisdom and understanding is very, very important. So some people with it when it is poetry. Some of the proverbs of But let me tell you something. This is the wisdom. This is some fountain here, and what we've been going through in Proverbs is deep. It's very, very deep, 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 deep. I mean, deep waters, deep. We used to use a metaphor. Oh, you getting deep. That's when something's really profound. It say you're getting deep, and yet we understand those things. But it is refreshing, right? It's a refresher. When you're talking about deep water, and the stream just flows. And if you ever seen the natural in the natural as well, because all of these things will get our taste of what we see, and we see natural streams flow. If you ever have seen a stream, whether in live or whether it was in picture form or whether it was on TV or whatever it might be, you would see those things. But I know that I was lengthy here, but I wanted to make sure, if nothing else, that we would get that understanding before we venture on into maybe some of the other scriptures here as well. Is to make sure now when they did that, that's the reason I can listen. I can listen to now. I can listen, and I don't have to say anything, right? I don't have to say anything because sometimes a person can say something that's really profound. Is really not nothing more to say, right? In that sense, and I'm talking about when we was in studying and different things like that. In that, and now, so I know, my brother, that some scriptures are on your heart. You necessarily you can include, but if you have something past verse 4, whatever, that's fine too. We could go to the next verse. Allow you to jump in there. I still had a couple of verses on my mind, but I definitely want to let you come in and share, because you might have two pieces of my puzzle. Hallelujah. Shalom, my brother.
Oh, that's awesome. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. And all glory be to the master. Oh man. Well, you open it up. Now when you were saying to share, you were saying with like 1 through 4,
No.
or
If you want to
is that
go
is that
past 4, yeah, yeah. If you want to go past 4, that's fine.
okay?
Yeah. Matter of fact, you
All
can,
right
you
then.
can. Yeah. If you had whatever the next verse that you had in order, that's more than fine, my brother. If you had something that's on your heart.
Praise Yah. Yes, sir. I spent some time looking at it for sure, especially what you have on 4. I think the way you were saying it and about the deep matters, that's exactly what stood out to me in that same way. It's as if, but there was kind of like the way I saw it is that there was like a dichotomy between the deep waters and the flowing stream.
Mm-hmm.
So when it was saying that the words of a man's mouth are like deep waters, what came out to me is that sometimes what we say, especially with the words of wisdom, it could be so deep that it's like a flood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when it comes out, it can almost be overwhelming or intimidating, and not in a negative sense, but in the sense that when you're encountering the things of wisdom, they can be hard to understand or hard to traverse through these ideas, or hard to get from point A to point B, see what the point is. But with a wise man, they're able to take these deep waters and make them as in a stream.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they make it simple for you. They make it to where you can cross over it. Very, very simple, and that it's now it's clearer. It's clearer. It's not as complicated, and that's what stood out to me in that sense, because I think sometimes when we do use a flood of words, it can it could do more damage than, like you said. Sometimes we say too much, or sometimes we used more than needed to be said. And also that the deep water, in the sense, to me, could also represent like a trouble. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, here, you know, you may say so much, you may get yourself in trouble. It's like, now you're in deep water, versus if we would have said, like you were saying before, little, that it could have been clearer, and, we could have got out of the situation a lot easier. But that was just for, I see you changed the Proverbs on
Well,
us.
no, yeah, I was just adding to what you were saying, since you went back to verse 4. We was there. I was trying to think about in verse Proverbs 10 and 11. It says the mouth of the righteous. Remember, I was saying the fountain of life.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying that
Fountain of
earlier. So what I'm saying is when we look at 18, as you were saying there, that's in verse 4. That's one of the things that we are talking about, the deep waters. Other words, it's a fountain of life. So no matter how
Hallelujah.
it goes, it goes in that. All right. Uh-huh. Did you have another
And
verse?
with yes, sir. Verse 5, I think that one. So earlier in the week, I don't remember which proverb it was. I think it was 15 or 16. I looked at it in Hebrew and I talked to you about it. Like, why is it translated into English this way? And this verse right here is this verse 5. I feel the
Hmm.
exact same way about that, because it's just the way it's worded in its original wording. It kind of, I think it's clearer to understand. So it says here, in the way we read it in English, it is not good to show partiality to the wrong, or turn aside the righteous and right ruling. Well, that it's not good to show partiality. That, when I looked it up, it was talking about um, lifting the face of the guilty. Like
Hmm.
how to, not to. It's, and other translations may render it that way. But what I see in that is, he's saying not to lift the head of someone who's guilty. And then right there, where it says to turn aside, that word for turn aside, it can mean to, like, to make thin or to spread out. So
Hmm.
I believe what Shlomo is explaining to us is that we shouldn't contort justice, or twist justice, or make something broad narrow, or something that's narrow broad, just for the sake of comforting someone else, or
Good.
just for the sake of favoring someone. It's like,
Hmm.
we need justice to be upon the one who it is due, and the punishment upon the one who is due, is regardless of whatever we may think someone's particular plight in life may be. Like, oh, this
Hmm.
person is fortunate, or whatever we may think. But when it comes to right ruling, it always needs to be according to what's deemed right in the Torah. And that's how I see it. It's like, okay, well, if I come across someone who seems like they're needing a little bit more assistance, or they're needing some help, but yet they are guilty, that's not a reason for me then to rule in favor of them, simply because they may seem like they are on the lesser half of the argument. And
Hmm.
I just think sometimes sometimes we do things to make people feel good, and that's not always right. We need what's right to be right, and what's wrong to be called wrong. And
Hmm.
even if someone may be wrong, barely off the base, if it's enough to where it's contorted, the judge and the ruler is going to set it right, and that shouldn't be something that we get so easily offended about. That's just
Absolutely.
how like
Good. Oh no, that's good. That's yeah, that's real good. I think that, like you said, lifting up the face there, that's good. A good idiom for that, and you outstanding, my brother. Good, good, good. In that, so righteous ruling, huh?
righteous right
Righteous right
ruling.
ruling. All right, my brother. Did
It's
you have
never
another verse?
crooked. Um, well, this one does cut us a little short, huh? I guess 6 and 7 are connected. That's the way I'm looking at it.
All right.
So, about a fool's lips enter into strife, and his mouth calls for blows. And then again, a fool's mouth is his ruin, and it's
Mm-hmm.
a snare. And the snare are excuse me, I got it all weird.
That's right.
And his lips are a snare of his life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing, sometimes when we're thinking about foolish, it always comes off as somebody who is stupid or dumb or Well, I think sometimes we could also look at immaturity as foolishness, or be having the wrong attitude in a serious situation can be foolish.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is. When we're lamenting, nobody's now going to find out. This is now a reason for us to uh, do something on the joyous side, in the sense of not that you're not praising, but there's a time and a place for all these actions.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm seeing right here is with the fool's lips, with his mouth. So he gets himself into trouble with what he says, and it's so like I'm saying, immature, and it leads into controversy. It leads into strife. It leads into a verbal battle where there didn't need to be one.
Mm-hmm.
And then even that his mouth, like it says, is for ruin. The way I had it here in my notes, it's kind of like there's a verse where it says that they blaspheme that which they do not know. So here it is, this person with his mouth is diminishing things that should not be taken so lightly. So like I was
Mm-hmm.
saying, there's a time and place for it. So often when things are defamed, or they're taken too lightly. So I'm
Uh-huh.
seeing like this person's snare for his life. This is like you're at a job interview, and the remark might be, "Well, I really don't need a job anyway." It's like you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say that in a job interview. You might get yourself. You're not. You may get yourself taken out of the lineup, or particularly if, I think those in relationship, husband and wife, there's a right time to say things, and sometimes we say the wrong thing at the wrong time, and it instantly puts us in ruin. And we're going to be hearing about it for a while. There's some things that we snare ourselves with the words of our mouth, and if we took some more time to think about it and before we spoke, it may help us, so that we also could see the opposite of this, that we could be the tongue of kindness, the tongue of loving commitment,
Mm-hmm.
versus I'm constantly there's a statement like throwing up on myself. I'm
Mm-hmm.
messing it up all the time. So that's just what was standing out, and just that we could definitely make ourselves wiser just by watching what comes out of our mouth, because we already know from the abundance of our heart it's going to speak, and once it comes out, you can't cover it back up.
Absolutely good. That's good. That's good, my brother. Because what you say can really do some damage to you, right?
Yes,
Just
sir.
results can be when he opened his ruins. That results can be a snare in his life. It's going to be some results there. In what you were saying there. Good, good, my brother. Yes. Um, it was one that see what I wanted to do next. I tell you what, I want to as I enter into this next one, I'm gonna hit it and then I'm gonna keep going. But those of you that's in the room, if you guys want a verse from, if you may want to stick a verse in there from 11 on down, then just put it in the chat, and we may bring it up here, right? The name of Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous run unto it and are safe. What do you think about that, my brother? You want me to? You gonna try to pass it now?
Oh man, you can never live it down. I just learned it. I put ruin upon myself.
You better get it.
Uh, so I mean, I love that this is a mishle. This is, he's given us a great a word picture, as we would say. We know what it's like to feel safety.
Yeah,
Um, and we have a lot of military people in our family, and they know what it's like to be in an environment where you need to be, fortified. And
mm-hmm.
I'm seeing that what Solomon is telling us is that for those who rely on Yah, that they can run, you know, into what it is that life is with the Father, and they know that that Yah um, is not going to overthrow them, or do anything evil or twisted. They can trust Yah. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of distrust towards the Father, but the ones who view Yah as a strong tower, they view him as a strong tower in all situations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, in my opinion, this is even connected with verse 14, but we're not getting there. But there's certain things that, with life, the situations in life, you're still trusting, and when it comes down to the name of Yah, which is his character, which is, the fullness of who he is. We
Mm-hmm.
know, how does the Father explain himself? That he's patient, he's kind, he's long suffering, he's quick to forgive, but by no means letting the guilty go unpunished, forgiving sins the third and fourth generation, and showing covenant love to 1,000 generations. So we know that the Father is amazing, but we have to come to know him that way.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be able to say, in this situation, your will be done, and that takes reliance. I think for us to be able to rely on the Father and view him as our strength, instead of masquerading our strength as his. When we know we can get weary, we can get tired, and our strength doesn't provide the same safety as his, because we could have the strong city and Yah can overthrow it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I know the
Mm-hmm.
Father is greater than any objects of reliance. He will give us a place, like a place of safety. I think Moshe was covered by his hand in a cleft of a rock, and that's kind of how I view safety. He knows how to cover our weaknesses. And
Mm-hmm.
he has a plan for us to be together, and for the righteous to be delivered. When it's all said and done, they're the ones inheriting the earth. So let's be that group, and he makes it possible for us.
Absolutely, and I think especially being here in the Central Texas area with the military or whatever, and those of us, like you said, even in our community, have served, even in that. So we have a understanding that there is some security when you realize the tower. Now we would have to go back at the time like that, but that's one of the things is a lot of people made this is like some of their famous verses, but this right here, it said that the righteous, that's very important. you know that's who runs to the things of the Father, and when you go to him in righteousness, then there's safety. If you're not going in righteousness, he's not a strong tower to you, right? So those of us that know, and that's the qualifier. He's is a secured rescue. He takes care of us, right? But it is the righteous that runs. Even though you can quote this, it's still the righteous that runs, right? So that means that you are walking out the things of the Father. Not that you just claim that it's righteous or the Mashiach blood make us righteous, right? That is there, but the righteous that walk it out after they have accept these things, right? After you accept it, then you can run, right? Anyone can't run to this safety. It has to be righteous. So I just wanted to just because what you said was good, and I just wanted to put that in there. because that's very, 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 very important. And so if I want to know who the righteous is, and maybe I don't understand that, then that'd be something that we could look up. Let me see if anybody put anything in the chat here. Oh, they didn't have a verse. No verses in the chat. So the next one would be 15 then. The heart of the understanding one gets knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. Well, well, well. That is a good one. I had put that down. Let me see if I get my notes here. I put that down. So the heart of the understanding. So once you understand, this is sort of like goes with some of the things that we've been saying. Is you get the knowledge, right? So that heart, you got to be willing to accept those things. So I'm not in my own desires. I don't love my own desires. I'm not in love. Other words, I use the word, we can use that word love for a lot of things, but that which I cling to, which I hold on to, right? My desires are starting to line up with his desires. So when I understand that, this is the knowledge that when I go through here, I said, oh, okay, this is what is needed. Then I don't hold on to my desires, but I yield to his desires, right? And then that's when we become one. So then when I run as a righteous man, I'm not running after my desires, but I'm running after his desires. And then there's safety because there is safety in his word, right? There is safety in his word. So then I would do that. Persecution, still there. Sickness is still there. All of these things are still there, but that does not affect the safety that we go into when we're talking about being righteous. He will protect when all of those things are there, right? When all of those things are in place, he will do it. And whatever happens, he has allowed it, right? And so I can still feel safe, even though this didn't work out like I thought. It's still safety there because I understand the rest of as the whole scriptures. I understand that. And so as I begin to walk in that, then I understand that. So that is very, very important. Let me see if we check with okay. Well, we didn't have one. So do you have another one past that, my brother? Or you can hit that or whatever. I'm trying to move a little bit more quickly because we're about ready to wrap it up. I didn't hear you. I know we don't have faith with it. Faith
Hello.
read your lips. There you go. There you go.
Yes. Yes.
She could read your lips.
So
I'm not good at it yet.
yes, I can't do it either. That blows my
Yeah.
mind.
Shout out to Faith if she's
Verse,
listening. Yeah.
yes, shalom,
Shalom,
shalom.
shalom.
Much love. So verse 8 really that one I liked verse 8
Oh,
because
right.
I
You
think
going
it's
all the way back up to 8. Is that what you say?
yeah. I think
All
well,
right.
if we're gonna keep going in the other direction, I don't
Yeah,
know. It's
yeah. We
just
was planning on going down, but we'll go ahead and go and get the delicacies in the 8 there. Go ahead. Go ahead. Get a bite.
the words of a slanderer are like delicacies, and they go down into the inner parts of the heart.
Mm.
So this one, the only reason why I'm bringing it up because I looked into it and there were some things I learned.
Okay.
Well, the word here for slanderer
Yeah.
is a different word than what we've encountered previously. Because this word right here is nirgan, which really is better translated as a complainer or a grumbler. And then
Oh,
when I
okay.
when I plugged in when I I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I said, okay. Yeah, yeah, you got it.
Oh, and what got me is it made the verse make more sense to me. That's just me. So it
Mm-hmm.
was okay. The words of a complainer are like delicacies, and I had to check out like what is it saying. It's like, well, they're like fine foods,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, how could it be that they're like fine foods and they go down into the inner parts of the heart? And then it started to click in the sense of like, well, what is the goal of complaints if they're not to derive power from the people who listen to them?
Mm.
So it's just like, okay, well, the complaints typically are through people who feel slighted or who feel neglected or the most common angle for me that when I was looking into it from my experience, it was talking about like I'm not getting my way. So here it is like since I'm not getting my way, that's going to find common ground with other people who may feel the same, because it's easy to do. It's easy to
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at least what I had written right here, we're always thinking that this was the greater thing. So I'm going to complain about it because it went unseen. And how could they not notice this, or how could they not notice that? And it's almost like this is why I liked this verse. It's because it takes two to do this one. It has to have somebody who's willing to also do this act, and then someone who's willing to listen to it and ingest these things. And they're going down into them. It's one of the ways it was worded there is that they swallow it wholly,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, and it goes into them. And I think sometimes when we make these emotionally charged statements, these complaints that they feel is full of vindication. Well, most likely it's just full of selfishness, because what it is we're just complaining about the things that we want to go our way.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if we weren't so bent on wanting things to go our way, um, then we would find no fault, with the situation. But ultimately, we need someone to point a finger at, and someone will agree with us for that. We need someone. Um, uh, we need to find a way, when it's all said and done, to stop grumbling. And I think when it's all said and done, we do not need help. Um, um, we should not seek help for someone to validate our grumbles. So that's what came out to this for me, is that we should be a people who are grateful. We should be a people who are not, they don't have itching ears for all the nonsense that could be said. We're guarding what we hear. So when I'm thinking about the fact of what type of company we're keeping, well, we can be aware of what type of appetite for hearing do we have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, are we addicted to hearing the grumbles and complaints, and are we the ones doing it? If so, we can stop that by being grateful, and no longer relying on our complaints to be heard. We can find some praiseworthy matters.
Absolutely. And that slanderer, that gossip, that slanderer, right? I think is that
Hmm.
the word that you say you looked up?
Yes, or near
Yeah, yeah.
gone in
Right,
the
right, right.
Hebrew.
Exactly. Beautiful. Uh,
It could be rendered that way as well, by the way.
what's that?
Like slander, like they have it here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Gossiper, somebody talebearer. I mean, you got different versions, that says it, but in Hebrew, that's one of the things that talk about, something that they do. So, in that's good, my brother. That's real good. Now, this person here, or this can't run to what we just said, right? They can't be the run
Exactly.
to the
That's what,
right.
yeah.
You can't run and get what was it, 10? That strong
Yes, sir.
tower, right? That person don't run to the strong tower. See, everybody wants to quote that, but you can't run there. Being somebody of a slanderer like that, some that likes and the things that you said, and I won't rehash that. We have character, a young lady that comes and she has a Hebrew name. You know her Hebrew name? Do you know this lady? She said
Oh,
verse
that's real good.
do you know okay, she said verse 17, so we'll you address that. That's you may know that. I think she'll make a good wife for you, man. She make a good wife for you there. And
Oh, yes.
the first state is of a case seems right until another comes and examines it. That is a good one. We could close with that one, huh? That is a good one in that. What you think about that, my brother? That's some of the things we've been
I was
talking.
thinking, oh, I thought you were going to enlighten us. I was looking forward to the
Well,
enlightening.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it goes back to, sort of like even the theme. Do you really love what it is, right? So many times I think this touches all of us in the fact that, oh, everything, yeah, it seems right until you present it or someone else is there. And then once somebody else examines it, they bring two pieces of the puzzle, right? So you will understand that now, oh man, it's real good until somebody, how many times this didn't happen to us, just all around. Most of all, first of all, to the scriptures. But this is always, it seems good when you're studying, when you're getting all those things together, and you find out that hey, it was okay until you present it to somebody and they just unfolded on you. They unfolded those things. So the first state is on of that case. That seems right, until something else comes. What wisdom? What wisdom? What wisdom? What wisdom? So that's good stuff. That's good stuff. In that, did you have something that you want to add to it? I had a note or two.
Oh, I mean, you've said it so well. It's just it's. I love when it's very literal. Like sometimes could be pretty literal, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love when it is literal like that because it takes away a lot of the mystique. But it really does. It is this way. I mean, I've
Hmm.
had siblings. I think if anybody who grew up with a brother and a sister, this is on a daily theme. So and so said, "This is what happened," until some evidence shows up.
Hmm. Hmm.
you know, and that's why you have to have those witnesses, two or more witnesses, right? So I think that it's we should tell the truth. You know, we should tell things as they are and be
Right, right,
honest,
right.
because it's going to make it better for us in the end. Because if I'm the person stating my case, but yet it is a lie, when the evidence comes across to prove that, now I'm covered with shame, and now I've got to make a retraction. And it's a wise man told me it's always easier to get it right, to do the matter right, because cleaning it up sometimes is impossible. When you try to clean it up, it could be a very heavy task to try to set something right when you had the opportunity to do it right the first time. So,
Absolutely. And
when
that's,
you're coming,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm sorry, brother. It's like of course, you're thinking about, in cases right here, legal matters, right, as well in that. And it does seem awesome. I don't know how many times till somebody comes, but in the legal case, it's like, I sit on the jury before, and man, the first lawyer come by in our day and time, he come by and they lay it down. You say, oh man, that does seem right. And until that other person gets up and then says it, and then somebody else comes and examines it, then it doesn't seem as right when you have the other side of. I always say there's two sides of every coin. There's two sides of every coin in that. Of course, the favorite one, we can get ready. Death and life is in the power of the tongue, and those who love it eat its fruit. So we have to watch what we say to one another. Is that right? That's very, very
yes,
important.
sir.
And but again, we want to be people to upbuild people to do those things that needed to be done. What else did I have? 22. He who finds this is a good one. Who finds a wife has found a good thing. We say thing, but good, and receive favor from Yahweh. Right. So if you,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah. So if you find you a wife, because that's when we say the women don't go, but the man finds a wife. That's our favorite one in that. Oh, think I didn't messed around. I think okay, it's still there. There we go. I lost something here. Okay, we're back. So find a good thing, and receives favor. So that's the thing is, so the man will find you your wife. Is that right? And so that's good. I'm trying to go ahead and get ready, and then I give you some. I had whatever, a 20, of course, a 24. A man of many friends comes to ruin, but there is a loving one who sticks closer than a brother. And so many times, it says many here, but a man of friends may come to ruins. But it's good to have somebody. Is that right? It's like that. It's a closer than a brother. And I'm so grateful for our brethren and our sisters, and it's just a fantastic situation. All right, my brother, let me let you get the final word in there because I think that's all that we had on that. I hope that was Karika. I hope that helped you on that. In that, I must have hit something else here. Is there a multiple thing in there?
It looks good to me.
Okay, all right, okay,
Um, well, thank you. And I guess the last thing that was on my heart is verse 15.
okay.
The heart of the understanding one gets knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. So I think that that's just like, again, very literal, but again, just to to add some interpretation on it. There are things that we desire and we typically go after.
Mm-hmm.
Those things that which we value as important. We go to a job because we want to sustain our families.
Right.
We want to keep the lights on, and all those things we go after them. So I'm saying that we should also go after understanding, and we
Mm-hmm.
should also have our ears turned to seek knowledge. And this isn't a task that's the same. It's not on the same level as your job, but you should put forth the same effort, at least just the start. you know and often you would say that, it's like, well, if you could do this on your job, then how, you should easily be able to do it for the Most High. So I'm
Hallelujah.
saying that, we have no excuses in this day and age, and with the power of the Father which dwells with us, for us not to be able to have a report of seeking Him and getting understanding from Him. And if you don't have the answer, it's not something that's just going to fall out of the heaven. You should be in a community to which those answers are found.
Mm-hmm.
With the head of your community, with the leadership and the teachers in your community. So my heart is saying that if you don't have understanding and you're not able to find knowledge, then you should seek out those places to where they are, and you'll be able to have joy and happiness in your face lifted up, because now I think there's just so much that comes from having knowledge, not just as a possession, but that what to do. You know what to do now. Before I did not know how to honor the Father during my life. Now I know about His feast. Now I know about His Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know a way to say His name that's pleasing, and I can immerse myself in that. I know that it's not hard to learn the tongue of our people in all areas. Everybody being equal, of course, but everybody could pick up a little bit. So with these things, is what I'm saying is like, there's possible for us to become the people to which are called by His name. And I believe this is a trait of Yah's children, that they get understanding, they're seeking it, they get knowledge. So we should have this report about us, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Hallelujah. That's a awesome place to close. In that, and you even got a thumbs up on that, but I didn't get a thumbs up on mine, but you got a thumbs up on yours. So that
It was
might
for you. It was
that
delayed.
that was delayed.
Yes. Yeah, I guarantee it.
That's yes, absolutely. Well, who we got here? Once you know, there is no turning back. Hallelujah. Yes, yes,
Hallelujah. That's
absolutely.
awesome. Awesome.
Hallelujah. Now I could, that almost spurs something right there, and that is of a truth. That is of a truth. There's no turning back. Once you get
You're
that thing in your
accountable.
heart and you do that, yeah, you definitely accountable for it. Well, I'm grateful to the Most High for all of you that will be listening, that are in the room, and then maybe you're not in the chat and you with us. And hey, there's nothing like it. Thank you if you made it this far. Appreciate it. We kind of stumbled through it, but go back over it again and meditate on it. Hopefully, we had a thing, a puzzle or two. Maybe we didn't have it. Maybe we just had a half a puzzle. But hopefully that it encourage you and build you up in that, and hopefully that that's what this power up and all of the discussions and those things that you can get into is we just trying to encourage you more in the word, the more in your walk, define your walk. Those are the things that we are trying to do. And I'm grateful for it, my brother, for uh, all the things that you brought forth, added to that, and we can work together because there's nothing what we had other. We said the brother, but there is no is a loving one who sticks closer than a brother, and that you
Hallelujah.
can't beat it. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. Nothing like it. So, brethren, it said brother, but didn't mean brother sisters. Is that right? So
Yes,
I'm so
sir.
glad
Yeah,
that
family.
we have a family that we stick together. We stick together in that. So we gonna do this that. All right, my brother. Thank you again, and shalom to the whole house of Israel. Stay focused, stay in the covenant, and with all of your heart serve Him.
Hallelujah.